In this video, we are going to learn about slope-intercept form. Now, to understand slope-intercept form, we first need to understand what an intercept is. And they come in two forms, an x-intercept and a y-intercept. An x-intercept is when it crosses the x-axis, and the y-intercept is when it crosses the y-axis. And slope-intercept form for a line is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, which we learned in the last video how to find in case we don't know it yet. And the y-intercept is the point at which it crosses the y-axis. So for a point 0, b, meaning x is 0 on the y-axis and b is some value on the y-axis, we can plug in that b for the y-intercept. For the next two examples, we're going to find out what is an equation of each line. Starting with this one, m is equal to 1/5 and the y-intercept is 0, -3. Now m just stands for slope, so we know the slope is going to be 1/5. So I can plug in 1/5 for m. And for b, I know that the y-intercept is 0, -3. I'm going to focus in on the y-coordinate to be my b value, so plus -3. Simplifying my statement here, I have y is equal to 1/5 x minus 3. And that's it. You have now created the equation of a line that has that slope and that y-intercept. Now let's say, for example, we don't have information written out about a line, but we can see visually what the line looks like. We could still go through the same process. We first need to find the slope of the line, which is delta y over delta x. But you can also visually look at it. We see we go down 3 points vertically. That's your change in y. So we have a vertical change of -3 and a horizontal change of 1. So -3 divided by 1 is -3. So when I go to write the equation of my line, I know I will have -3x. But what do I add for the y-intercept? Well, that's something you can also tell visually by looking at where it crosses the y-axis. This happens at the coordinates 0, 4, which means that b should equal 4 for my equation. So my answer becomes y equals -3x plus 4. Now let's say you have the equation of a line, but it's in a different form than slope-intercept form, and you want to put it into that form so you can see the slope and the y-intercept. For these next two examples, we're going to do just that. And then afterwards, identify what the slope and y-intercept are. So we have 5x minus 4y equals 16. Now, the one unique factor visually about slope-intercept form is that y is by itself. So we're just going to solve for y in order to find its slope-intercept form. We'll subtract 5x, giving us -4y is equal to -5x plus 16. Then we can divide each side by -4, giving me y is equal to positive 5/4 x, because we have a -5 divided by a -4, and a -4 because we have 16 divided by -4. Not easy. It's now in slope-intercept form. Now what would the slope and the y-intercept be? We just look at the coefficient in front of x, which is 5/4, and that will represent our slope. So m is equal to 5/4. And our y-intercept, we just look at the plus b, which in this case happens to be -4, and that'll tell us our y-intercept, which is 0, -4. Now, be very vigilant and don't be too lazy, but you should always represent the y-intercept as a point rather than just -4. Now, the next example has lots of fractions, but don't let that scare you. because we're still going to do all of the same steps. We're going to solve for y to put it in slope-intercept form. So we'll add 3/4 x to both sides of my equation, give me 1/2 y is equal to positive 3/4 x minus 1. Now the y by itself, instead of dividing by a number, since it's a fraction, we're going to multiply by a positive 2 to cancel out the 1/2. So when I multiply each side by 2, I get y is equal to 3 times 2 is 6, so 6/4 x minus 1 times 2, 2. Now this is not a simplified fraction, so we're going to take one more step to simplify 6/4 to give us 3/2 x minus 2. And there's my slope-intercept form. From here, I can see that the slope is going to be 3/2, since that's the coefficient of x. And my y-intercept is going to be 0, -2, since I'm subtracting 2 where the plus b would be.